Success is achieved and maintained by those who try and keep trying. W. Clement Stone. My friends, each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes, that is all we ask. Following these charts and practice trading every chance you get. How did we end the week? Well, stocks were mixed. Bonds were down. Gold and Bitcoin were up. Let's jump first into the S&P 500. We were above average volume. Now again, the red volume does not mean negative volume. It simply means that the market opened lower than the prior close. And what did we end with? We ended with a doji. Now we've seen dojis before 3 times in this latest run-up when things started moving up all the way back on the week beginning the 28th of April. And you can see, how did we see the turnaround? Well, we saw a big down candle and lots of wick on the bottom, lots of volume, then 2 dojis and things turned around. Typically what we see is a spinning top, either a green or a red, portending the rotation over. Sometimes we do have dojis. We prefer to see spinning tops. That typically means you've got more of a change in opposite move, particularly when things are going from red to green, like what we want to see here when this market does finally break and roll over is a red spinning top. We didn't get one, not yet. We shall see as this new week starts. The S&P was up a little bit for the day, 0.10. That's about flat. You can see on the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, we had a red down candle in the morning, red spinning top in the afternoon. Now, these are Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. They are not high open, low close. They're showing us the average pace. What we see at the end of the day is indecision and, of course, overall just barely moving up. When we look at the 2-day candle that finished drawing today, it did clearly break the weekly trend line. We pushed through the weekly trend line back on Thursday. So again, we're sitting on it on the weekly chart. So we shall see how this new week starts. Doesn't mean we're breaking the uptrend, but means the possibility exists. What about the NASDAQ 100? It ended up being down 0.32%. It pushed through on this latest 2-day candle, pushed through successfully the weekly trend line. We've seen those 2 days of down red candles, and that is on the 2-day. The 2-day pushing through, the half day also showing those 2 days pushing through. You can see we had higher than average volume on the 2-day. As we look at the weekly, we of course see higher than average volume and that green spinning top sitting right there on the weekly trend line. So again, we're looking, we're waiting, we're anticipating. Things have slowed down in the up movement. Doesn't mean the up movement's ending. There's a lot of stuff starting to happen, though, in the world in general, and we shall follow these charts. When this up move that started back in late April does end, it could pull back hard, and we will be riding it all the way down. And you might say, Tom, how do we do that? Well, on the S&P 500, you ride it up as it goes down on SH, which is the ProShare single short. Plenty of short funds for the S&P 500. This is just a simple one that we like and track. This is PSQ. Again, it's a single short, a one-time short of the NASDAQ 100. So you can see how it has been going down for many, many weeks. And we shall be ready, many months, and we shall be ready to ride that up if and when, well, when, no if, when the market rolls over. Let's look at 20-year U.S. government bonds. They are down again for the day, 0.21%. We can see where bonds stroked it down on Wednesday and then have been trying to move up a little, but not successfully. We can see where, as I spoke, when we started this new week, where things clearly broke and breached the trend line on the weekly chart, just snapped over. And of course, greater than average volume for the week. Red down candle we can see where we had two strong down candles. That was last Friday and this Monday, and then the Tuesday, Wednesday. The Thursday, Friday, not so much because we had that up move on Thursday. But again, things backing off some on Friday. So still that push of downward pressure on 20-year U.S. government bonds. What about gold? Well, gold clearly 2 weeks ago broke the trend line. This week, a down candle on gold. Volume heavily decreased. We can see where we had, 6 red down candles, but you can see where actually the latest low goes all the way back to Monday, the 27th of October. Things have been sliding sideways. Ended up with a doji sitting right on the weekly trend line. You can see how gold has been tracking sideways for quite a while, trying to move up. Hasn't pushed through that trend line yet. We'll see what happens on Monday, if indeed it pushes through or breaks down even further. For the day, gold was up 0.61%. Lastly, we will take a look at Bitcoin. This is HODL. This is one of the Bitcoin ETFs. This one's managed by VanEck. It's the one we track every day. And you can see a big red down candle for the week with average volume. Latest 2-day candle below average volume. Didn't reach a lower low, but again, well below the trend line on the half day. Also saw where things popped up in the afternoon on Friday. Ended up being up 0.288%. But again, Bitcoin with a lot of downward pressure. So that is where we are as we end the week. We'll continue to watch these things closely, watching Bitcoin, seeing if the down moves are going to continue, gold, if it's going to make any kind of recovery or roll back over in the new week. Are we going to see 20-year U.S. government bonds continue to move down? And when is the break going to happen in the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for this latest bull market to end, and us to then be able to pull those trades that have been so successful for us for weeks and weeks and weeks and months on end, and then not stand in there and just get hammered like the dummies are going to do, because they're going to just keep thinking everything's going to be beautiful as the market pulls back strong at some point and takes as much as it can back from them. That's why we chart the market, so we don't get hammered when things change. And we ride the trends in one direction or the other. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth.